In today's session, I am going to cover one of the important feature of object-oriented programming, that is function overloading. But before that, I will give you a quick overview of polymorphism. So what is polymorphism? What are its types? I will cover all these points. So let's start. Friends, polymorphism is one of the important feature of object-oriented programming. It is the combination of two Greek words, poly and morphism. Poly means many and morphism means form. So, what it represents is polymorphism means many forms. That is, one thing can be represented in many forms. That you can call it as a polymorphism. So, to get a complete idea, I will give you some real world examples. Consider I have a dog, a cat and a duck. If I ask a single question, how are you, to all these three animals, I will get different answers. The dog says just oof, the cat says meow meow and the duck says quack quack. Here for a single question, I am getting different answers. So similarly in programming language, same operations can have multiple outcomes. Just like in our example, the operation we are performing is we are asking a question, how are you? But the output or the outcomes we got is different in every situation. Let's take another example. Consider a person. Consider yourself at its position. If this person is in shopping mall, he or she behaves like a customer. If this person is traveling by bus, then he is considered as a passenger. If he is at the school, then he behaves like a student, and if he is at his home, then he behaves like a family member. So here a single person is performing different roles like passenger, customer, student and a family member. So this is a polymorphism. So polymorphism means more than one function with same function name and with different operations or the workings. I hope you got primary idea about what is polymorphism. So let's see different types of polymorphism. So types of polymorphism, there are two types of polymorphism: compile time polymorphism and runtime polymorphism. Compile time polymorphism is also called as static polymorphism, and runtime polymorphism is also called as dynamic polymorphism. So there are further two types of, or the examples of compile time polymorphism are function overloading and operator overloading, while runtime polymorphisms examples are virtual function. So let's get deeply dive inside the concept of function overloading. But before that, we will quickly revise the basic things of function. A function in C++ is a group of program statements with a unique name that performs a specific task. So simply, functions are used to provide modularity and reusability to a program. So the basic syntax to write any function in C++ is, first we have to mention its return type, followed by the name of the function, and then you have to specify the list of the parameter, which is followed by the curly braces. The first line, the first entire line starting from the return type up to the list of the parameter excluding these curly braces is known as signature of the function, and the remaining part from the curly braces is considered as the body of the function. So this is the basic information about the function. So let's come back to our main topic, function overloading. So function overloading is feature in C++ where two or more functions can have same name but different parameters. So function overloading can be considered as an example of the polymorphism. Here are some rules that one must follow to overload any function. An overloaded function must have different types of parameter, different numbers of parameter and different sequence of parameters. If any two or more functions are following these three rules or one of the rule, then those functions can be considered as overloaded functions. Here are some different 6 cases. In the first case, the name of the function is the print and its return type is void, and here we are not passing any parameter. In the second case, the return type and the name of the function is same, but here we are passing integer as it's one of the parameter. Similarly, in third case, return type and the name of the function is same, but the parameter we are passing is of float type. So in second and third case, we have same function name and same return type, but the parameters that we are passing are different, which satisfies our first rule, that is different types of parameters. Hence, an overloaded function must have different types of parameters. This rule is satisfied, these two functions can be considered as overloaded functions, while the first and second case, when we consider this first and second case, these two are satisfying our second condition, that is an overloaded first condition, that is an overloaded function must have different types of parameters. Here we are passing different types of parameters. Now consider the fifth and sixth case. In the fifth and sixth case, we have same name of the function, same return type and same number of parameters, but what different is, here the sequence of the parameters that we are passing is different. So these two cases are satisfying the last rule, that is different sequence of parameters. Hence all these six cases can be considered as the different cases for overloaded functions. Now, so this is all the theoretical aspect of the function overloading, but the question arises, why do we need function overloading? Imagine a case where we have to print different values depending on the on what the user passes as an argument. Let's take this example above. If the user don't pass any parameter, then print some message. If the user passes an integer value, then print that integer value. So if the function overloading didn't exist, you would have made 6 different functions with different names. Here in this case, you have to create 6 different functions to print 6 different messages. So the functionality is same, simply to print message on the screen depending on the value that user is passing, or the value which is being entered by the user. But just because of function overloading didn't exist, in that case we have to provide 6 different names for the same functionality. So this is where the function overloading comes into the picture, that is using same function name you can implement different functionalities. So now the next topic is ambiguity in function overloading. In C++, functions cannot be overloaded if they differ only in the return type. So let's see an example. Here we have 2 functions with same function name but with different return types. Here as the int first is returning 10, its return type is integer and it is returning a character A, hence its return type is char. When we call the function from the main method, here in this situation the compiler is unable to decide which function is to be invoked among these 2 overloaded functions. Here these 2 overloaded functions, and this is a situation, and this situation is known as ambiguity when we are performing the function overloading. When the compiler shows such ambiguity error, the compiler won't run the program. So, but beside this, this functional overloading has many advantages. So let's talk about it. So the advantages of function overloading: the function can perform different operations and hence eliminates the use of different function names for the same kind of operations. We have discussed it. So again the program becomes easy to understand and easy to maintain. We are able to maintain the code of the function easily, and the function overloading brings flexibility in the C++ programs. So this is all about the function overloading. Thank you.